Okay, so sometimes when you're looking at a cell, you might want to have it oriented in a certain direction. So you might want it oriented so that you're getting the other branches in the cell out of the way to get a better view. You might want it to be oriented in a direction that makes it easier for you to understand the cell's morphology. But whatever the case, this can sometimes be an issue when looking at the cell in 3D and comparing it to the EM images, which you see over here. So for this example, I have the EM images also turned on in the 3D, and you can do that by clicking the S key. That will toggle those on and off, or clicking this button down here that says sections. So one thing you might notice here is that I have the EM images are upside down compared to what I have over here. And the other thing that you'll notice is when I scroll, for example, if I scroll down in the EM, I'm actually scrolling up in this direction in the 3D, and vice versa. If I scroll up with my segmentation moving up in this direction, it's actually moving down over here. And then obviously you can see that the EM image is upside down compared to what you're seeing over here. So if I want to keep my cell oriented in this direction, but I want the EM to match, one thing I can do is use the rotate tool to help match them up. So I'm going to do that by pressing the R key, and that's going to move my image clockwise in this direction, and I'll just keep going until it matches up. So that looks pretty good and pretty similar to what I have over here. And if I went a little bit too far, I can just use the E key right next to the R key to go back in the other direction. And then if I went a little bit too far, let's say I went like this and that's too much, I can also use the Z key, and that will just square everything up, bring everything to a 90-degree angle. You can see that the axes over here are at 90 degrees, and that is just using the Z key. And they'll just orient to whatever direction they're closest to make a 90-degree angle. So if I'm like this, then they'll go like that. If I'm over here, they'll go in this direction, etc. So the one caveat to this, let's bring it back so it matches pretty closely, is that if I have this flipped in this direction, there's not really a good way to match these up. So that's one thing that you might come up against, and you might just have to reorient the 3D in the best way that you can so it's on the same plane. But that's the only caveat to this rotation tool. So hopefully that helps, and hopefully you can get some use out of this tool.